Hello, welcome to the Redmen TV. It's Matchday live and uncensored. I'm joined alongside me is Mr. Steve Hoare. We've had an absolute nightmare, as always, as with these live shows. Dan Kennett is on his way. Dan, if you're somehow listening to us, focus on driving. Get here. Jack Hart over on the other couch. We'll be talking to the lads more in a moment. Chris is over at social media corner, wall, whatever, which is looking all sparkly and sexy. And he's got Liverpool team news, so let's go straight to that, Mr. Chris. Hey, Jack.
Right, here we go, straight into it then. Just been released: Simon Mignolet in goal, Glenn Johnson, Dejan Lovren, Martin Skrtel, Emre Can, Jordan Henderson, Steven Gerrard, Jordan Ibe, Philip Coutinho, Raheem Sterling and Mario Balotelli. I'm a little disappointed to see Glenn Johnson, to be fair. What is that? Is that a three at the back? Is Emre Can going to be playing in midfield? He could be. It could be a 4-3-3. I'm literally reading it right now for the first time, so if anybody's got any shout out,
just keep that up on screen for a moment, because I'm going to frantically jot that down and try and work it out in a moment, but I'm going to throw it over to the assembled guestage. First of all, Jack.
Hello.
Jack's been brewing away like a madman before we went live.
Apart from for myself.
Yes, we've got cups of tea returned for the first time on the live show. Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
For you, mate. Anyone want to throw out what do you reckon the formation's going to be? Not you.
I'll have a guess. I think
you've had your go.
I know it now though. Glenn Johnson's playing left back.
I was about to say, I think it's five at the back. I think it's Skrtel, Lovren and Can, Johnson left wing back, Ibe right wing back, Henderson, Gerrard in the middle two.
Who left wing back, sorry?
Glenn Johnson. And then Jordan Ibe right wing back, or the other way around.
There's no way Glenn Johnson's playing left
wing back. Well, right wing back then. And
or right wing back.
I don't know. And then Coutinho and Sterling with Balotelli as a free.
I think it could be flat. Four at the back, Glenn Johnson left back, Emre Can right back, Lovren and Skrtel in the middle.
And who's in midfield?
It's by no means a perfect. Henderson, Gerrard and maybe Phil Coutinho.
Genuinely, I've got no idea. if you're watching at home,
Tony Pulis is sitting there like this. What's this?
Just go fuck it. Just play your game. Right, let us know what formation do you think Liverpool playing there. Tweet us in at the Redmen TV. As always, you can get involved by the comment section alongside the video as well. Keep it clean. Well, you don't have to keep it clean, but Chris is going to be interacting with you throughout the show, reading some of your comments out as well. So, any thoughts? Just while I've got you, obviously it's West Brom I'm going to be focusing on to some extent, but not really, because there's loads of bigger things that we're going to talk about. We're in all the way to kick off now, so we're going to be talking a little bit about that team in a moment, as well as the subs as well, and we're going to move on to talk about some of the Twitter meltdown that's been going on this week. We obviously it's preview week at the moment on the redmentv.com, so we've discussed, like Brendan Rodgers, pretty conclusively, but we've got we've got two at the moment. We will have three when Dan turns up. People to discuss the whole situation and the Jurgen Klopp thing and all these kind of links. We're going to discuss that in a bit more detail. So thoughts on any of these topics, as I say, alongside the video or in the old Twitter, because that's how you say that.
The old Twitter
by tweeting us at the Redmen TV. That team's
bonkers.
It's bonkers. I can't figure that out.
It's not an ideal back four if that's the way we set it up. With Johnson. Johnson's always looked decent at left back in a four, in fairness to him. Relatively decent on a Glenn Johnson sort of scale in the last few years anyway. Emre Can I'm not too convinced that as a right back. But having said that, the three players behind Balotelli I do like the look of, and he should get support there, and we've got Henderson as the extra runner there, so we could look really quite attacking at times in that setup.
Yeah, Steve,
yeah, Can at right back isn't ideal, is it, if that's what it is? I mean, we haven't got a clue, have we? It's hard to say. What I say without us knowing, I'm happy that Ibe, Coutinho and Sterling look as if they're going to be the attacking outlets behind Balotelli. I suppose he's rewarded Mario for his second half in the Villa game, because he was probably the best player, and that wasn't saying a lot because we were shit.
No.
But he was. If Rodgers, you always hark on about this meritocracy that we've talked about loads of times, and he's probably said, you know what, well, that didn't work. We might as well try something different, and we looked a bit more of a threat with Balotelli. Obviously, he gets the goal that's given offside wrongly. Although we didn't deserve to win, don't get me wrong. But he was there. He was at least doing something. And I'm not a huge fan of him, I'll be honest. Especially on his own up front. I think I think it's a recipe.
Well, the key to it, if you're going to play him on his own up front, is to make sure he's not on his own.
Sterling, sorry, or I or Coutinho are going to be right near him.
Yeah.
Just to,
Chris, have you got some suggestions there?
Yeah, I got them from Twitter actually. At Sammy, 4 at the back with Johnson on the left. Can't figure out the rest. Luke Blakely though may well have figured it out. He's put a comment both on the YouTube and on Twitter. It's at Luke_Blakely 4-2-3-1. Johnson right wing back, Chan left wing back. I think they might swap. Hendo, Gerrard is the 2 in front of the 4 with Ives, Sterling, Coutinho behind Balotelli up front.
Can you just quickly get the team back up again for me, Chris? Because I'm missing a player here.
Here we go.
Who am I missing?
So what Luke thinks is Glenn Johnson, Dejan Lovren, Martin Skrtel and Emre Can. I reckon Can will probably play right back there, Johnson left. Right. Henderson and Gerrard sat in front with Ives, Coutinho and Sterling behind Balotelli.
I've gone for, because fuck it, I've gone for 3-3-3-1. Yeah?
No.
Bear with me. Don't just know. Bear with me. We've got time. We've got space. Let's use it. We've got Dan still not here yet.
That's not what he thinks it's going to be.
No, yeah, Dan!
That's been done, you know.
So I've got 3 at the back, yeah? I've got Lovren, Skrtel and Johnson as me 3.
Yeah.
Then I've gone for Emre Can in front of them as the defensive midfielder, with Gerrard and Henderson playing further forward than that.
Yeah.
And then I've got Ives, Sterling and Coutinho in front of that.
Yeah.
And then Balotelli.
I mean, I don't think that's going to be it, but I wouldn't mind seeing that in all fairness.
But do you remember that we tried this with Gerrard a couple of times? Not that necessarily as mad as that, but you know that thing when we were bringing him on as a sub and stuff, and just abandoning wing backs and just putting wingers on instead. I would like to see. We've said this. I'd like to see Liverpool go and try and get some goals. Is he here?
Yeah, he's here.
Yes. Go on.
I don't know. There's even possibility for the Diamond to come back, isn't there? Really, if you think about it. Yeah. There's possibility at the Diamond so you put Johnson, Skrtel, Lovren, and Can at the back, and then you have your midfield Diamond with maybe Henderson or Gerrard sitting. Gerrard done it last year, obviously. 2 midfielders, so one of which could be Coutinho. So say it was Gerrard deep, Henderson, Coutinho, Sterling or Ives, and then Ives probably at the tip with Sterling and Balotelli up front. It wouldn't be a huge shock. What's nice to see is that we haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
So from a West Brom point of view, they're sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, what's this? You know what I mean?
Let's just hope, Jack, that the players have got a fucking clue.
Yes, yeah. I think. I mean, we've said in the past, regardless of shape, you know, we try and play with an identity. You know, people have got their own opinions on whether that's shifted and you know, been affected by the season we've had. But the important thing really is the movement and getting players near Balotelli today. That'll be the key. Yeah. If we don't do that, whatever shape we're set up in, it's not really going to work if we're not moving around him and giving him the support. Yeah. So that's the important thing.
The most important thing, if you're watching, is send us some links in for streams. The more the better, the more. Because we haven't done one of these with a stream game in fucking ages. It's been a while since I've had to stream anything. Dan, come in, sit down. You live 2 minutes away from Steve, and he beat you here by 20 minutes. It's great.
Just doing damn things all day.
Yeah. Welcome then. Obviously, we've now got our full contingent here. We've got Dan Kennett. You got a 2? Yeah. Get on, Craig. We've got Dan Kennett. Dan, welcome.
Oh yeah.
You alright?
Yeah.
Bit manic?
Oh yeah. Just been doing dad stuff all day.
Just sawing bits of wood and putting dead batteries into drawers, like.
Changing the plug with a knife. That's a dad deal.
More like sports events and errands. Like.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds about right. Dan, have you seen the team?
No.
Excellent.
Well, there's bound to be something wrong with this. So what is it?
Let's.
Dan, we've got no idea.
The thing we don't know. the thing that's wrong with it is that we don't know what's going on. Chris.
Frantically. So we just moan about it anyway, even though we don't.
Absolutely right. Here you go, Dan. There's the team for you.
We've spent 10 minutes and we've got no idea.
So once again, if you just joined us, welcome to Matchday Live and Uncensored. We're just talking through the team, trying to work out what the friggin' hell Liverpool are going to do against West Brom today. Just a 1 to 11 then. Mignolet, Johnson, Lovren, Skrtel, Chan, Henderson, Gerrard, Ibe, Coutinho, Sterling, Balotelli, and the subs bench, Brad Jones, of course, Colo, Javier Manquillo, the forgotten man himself, Adam Lallana back fit, Lazar Markovic, Joe Allen, and international man of mystery, Fabio Brini. What?
Where's Albi? Moreno?
That's a great question.
Put him in my Mondo goal, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, lucky.
Did you put Jordan Ibe in your cup?
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out this week's Mondo goal, go and do it. It's there. It's on the YouTube channel.
Not right now.
Not right. Well, no, you come in 2 tabs, mate. This is the future. You can have like snapped browsers and all kinds of. If you're like in Back to the Future 2, when he's got like 7, 8, 9 channels going on.
Oh, yeah.
I reckon that if you're like 14 years old, I reckon that's how you consume the internet these days. Not
One of them's always porn.
One of them always porn. What do you reckon then, Dan?
3 at the back.
First impression, okay.
3 at the back, Johnson, left wing back, Ibe, right wing back.
That's what I said. And you told me I was an idiot. Call him an idiot, go on.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to call
Yeah, as long as Sterling is right up front with Balotelli, you've got to be 2 up front. Got to be.
Well, we've been
playing together. They've got to be on a piece of string together, you know.
I think we've been going on about this for a while now, and to be honest, all season, haven't we really been saying like, why no 2 up top? Why not give it a go? Balotelli doesn't deliver the goods on his own up front. Sterling did a good job for the team on his own up front, but you wouldn't say he was the answer, would you? No, you know, and yet the greatest success we've had under Brendan Rodgers has been with 2 men up top. Find 2 and make them work.
If you've got the people there to do it, by all means. I've always been sceptical of Sterling as a striker. Anyway, I think for a while he was the best option, but he's
just sit there, the team comes out, just like that.
But he's not a striker, is he? At the end of
the team doesn't score enough goals when he's set forwards. You know, he can't finish it well enough.
Yeah,
it's a dependability thing. I mean, we've seen him finish fantastic. City last year was fantastic, but we can't rely on him to do that.
He needs to be like the 4th best finisher in the team. If he was like the 4th best goal scorer in the lineup, you'd have no problem with that.
Last season, you had obviously the main man, Gerrard was banging his goals in, and then it was Sterling with his 10. Yeah. Now Sterling's got 7, which is about what Sterling.
Yeah.
And now he's the top scorer. Which is and that's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Rodgers
what's on goal on at the moment? What's Og on at the moment?
He's probably. I just think if that's Liverpool's issue all season, goals, and listen, 4th it's there. It's unrealistic. Not unrealistic. It's out of our hands, isn't it? So what Rodgers, although he's still got a battle for it, he has to figure out a way of getting goals into this Liverpool team, and whether that's thinking about this year or thinking a little bit ahead to next year, obviously different people are going to come in. That's his main target now. We have to score more goals. Defensively, we've been pretty sound. Last year we were all arguing we need to be better defensively. Well, we've got that, and we're 5th. So if he needs to do something to get goals, and I agree 100% with Dan. Sterling can't be your main goal threat, and the fact that he is that's why we are 5th.
I just think very simply, but you know, we found a way to get the team working and playing again, and that 3 at the back with Sterling, you know, up front, and even if you say like trying Coutinho with it the other week, it's fine. Yeah. But we're still not. We're in no way lethal. We need to find. It's like, look, at the start of the season, we couldn't score goals and we couldn't stop conceding them. We had to fix one of them 2 problems, and we fixed the conceding goals problem. We still haven't addressed how to score goals. So we
but at least. Though, do we improve the defence to a really good level of performance, and then you can stay in games, and then if you do come up with a worldie, you only maybe need 1 or 2 chances, because if you can stay in games because you're not conceding, you know.
Well, we found out, didn't we, against Man United and Arsenal, that you need that extra. It was fine to a point, but you know. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You don't want to completely undo all the great defensive building.
I think
we do need to find that.
I'd even let the Arsenal one go, to be honest, because we've won twice in 20 years at Arsenal anyway. But the United one was the killer. But we just didn't turn up for that game. And United, I think, only had 3 shots on target and scored twice. So you know, shit happens. But the Arsenal game, I don't know. We just. The United game was just horrible.
In both of those games, though, we've had chances to go, and even especially at Arsenal was the Markovic, Sterling, whatever that kind of was. And that's the thing, when you're a side like Liverpool are at the minute, who are middle in it, that's what we are at the minute. We're a 4th, 5th, 6th team. That chances aren't coming all the time for us. You need to put that first one away, and when you don't, you're there because Arsenal are a good team, Man United are a good team, and they score really good goals. You know that one. Sanchez's goal, for example, well, the full-back's always a good goal, and good teams are going to do that against you. So you need to be the team doing that. You need to be the good side imposing your will. And at the moment, I know it's been like that all season, and it's just been there's a massive Daniel Sturridge hole in this team because Daniel Sturridge has made the cheese.
But it's even before these improved,
Dairy.
even before the new shape came in, and before
what type of cheese is Daniel Sturridge made of? Let us know in the comments along the
even before we changed the shape over New Year, and before these improved performances came, which have recently stopped. But you wonder, when we had the Newcastle game back in October or whenever it was, and that was right in the middle of everything. It was been thoroughly depressing, and even just a goal scorer with them poor performances could have really changed us this season. Even not in the current setup, but even when we were garbage, someone who could stick a ball in the net and we nick a couple of poor 1-0, 2-1 wins.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And they've all had a chance, haven't they? They've all had a chance.
Yeah, everyone's had a goal, but we said this week was. Those of you who may have been watching Preview Week this week, we've done a lot of discussion on this type of stuff this week. You talk about, and it goes back to Brendan Rodgers and getting the best out of what you've got. And, post-January, we got the best out of what he got. And when it's working, it's fine. But when you get to the point now and you're still not found an answer to goal scorer, and Balotelli's you can understand because Balotelli's mad. You can forgive not making that work, but if you've chosen for whatever reason, and whether it's entirely him is kind of irrelevant. But Lambert can score. Lambert does score goals. He has scored Premier League goals. Barini has scored Premier League goals. Balotelli has scored Premier League goals. You need to. Should we have found a better way of utilising them? And I hope Balotelli, is that today. I'm just going to stop there 2 seconds, and I'm going to just drag it out for a moment while Tom turns Chris's audio back on, because he wanted me to make a deliberate point of doing that this week. Chris, have you got some comments for us?
Yeah, David Whitehead at Whitey757352. Johnson left wing back, Ibe right wing back, Stern up top with Ballo. So that sort of echoes what Dan said. Dare to Coutinho. That's a 3-4-2-1. Chansker, Lovren, Ibe and Johnson wide midfielders. Then maybe Coutinho and Sterling behind Mario for another one. Yeah. That's about 4 formations already, isn't it? And then Will Honeywell, just an idea. Winner of Fancy Football overall picks a player's name to tattoo on the rival's body. No.
Can I just have my little say on that? No. And Chris's wall's falling down again, so we'll give him a moment to sort that back out again.
Health and safety going to be in it.
Poor bricklaying there, Pager. I mean, like I keep coming back to it. I kind of like the idea that I don't really know exactly what we're going for, and again, it ties into this notion of, will it be a bit of a surprise for the opposition? We said that ahead of the semi-final as well. We were going into semi-final, will we play 4 at the back, or will we play 3 at the back? What's going to happen here? Chris is just randomly repairing the set as we go. Does Tim Lovejoy have to stick his own set walls back up again? I don't fucking think so. The important thing, Dan, is that the players are comfortable in what they do, because they didn't look at it at Wembley at all, did they?
No.
Make more noise, Chris.
If you think back to last season when we played, I think it was 40 games in all competitions, or 41 games in all competitions, and we basically just had 1 game a week for the whole season. Now, we didn't necessarily play the same system every week, right? But and sometimes we wouldn't. Could we go into a game saying, "Are we going to be the 3 at the back this week? Is it going to be diamonds? Is it going to be 4-4-2, 4-3-2, whatever?" Even though we didn't know, but because you had more time on the training ground, you come out and you can just say, "That's what we're doing today." You can see it straight away, and it's drilled, and everybody knows what they're doing. But I think we've gone away from that this season. Now, we played a lot more games, so there's been less time on the training ground. But I still don't think that means that you go out and you look at it, and it's obviously within 5, 10, 15 minutes you can see it's painfully not working. Yeah. And there's players out there, they don't look sure of what their role is. And last year we had that down to a T. And I don't know, so I'm all for a bit of flexibility and change things when it's not working, and against this particular opponent. But I think there's got to be or we can say it's 3 at the back. 3 at the back is what served us pretty well from when we played well most of this season. But after that, it doesn't really matter if it's 3-4-3, 3-4-2-1, whatever. I don't know. But 3 at the back and it with wing back. So
yeah. The main thing that Rodgers did last season that he hasn't done this year, maybe it's because he doesn't trust the players, is when he had the option of Sturridge and Suarez both being available, they both played.
Yeah.
So he always tried to get 2 strikers on the pitch. I think we stumbled upon 3-5-2 last year. Not stumbled on, but the main reason we played it was to get those 2 up front. Because there was a period where I remember Suarez playing right wing at times, or Sturridge playing left wing and stuff. And in the end, he thought, you know what, we'll just get those two on the pitch and we'll kind of work the rest out. This year, it's kind of...
The strategy's been to put 3 strikers on the bench this year.
Yeah, what he's decided is that's how we'll score goals. We'll get these 3 on the bench. But there's been no one who's nailed on, Paul. That's the only thing. In this Liverpool team now, you can make an argument for 8 of them not really playing. I think you can nail Coutinho on. You can nail, obviously, I'm not including the goalie, he has to play.
Yeah.
Probably Skrtel and then maybe Sterling. And the rest you can think, you know, Henderson, does he have to play? Probably, maybe. Gerrard, no. The rest of them doesn't.
I think the nailed on players now, obviously Mignolet, Skrtel, I think Henderson, Sterling, Coutinho, and no one else is.
Well, I think Skrtel in the 3 at the back, especially. I think in the 3 at the back, he's turned into a really good player, and I don't think there's any surprise that when we played the 4 at the back and we went back to what at the start of the season, you know, Skrtel all of a sudden he didn't look half the player he had done. You know,
it looked like the start of the season all over again.
Exactly.
Him and Lovren not forming a coherent partnership, no proper screening for the back 4 because no Lucas, and it was literally like the second half of the season never happened. Last weekend, and that's what we need to guard against. I think now is that instead of moving forward and continuing to evolve and finding a new, better way of working, we'll go back to like, I wonder if this works now. You know?
Oh look, no, it still doesn't work.
Oh yes, no, it still doesn't work. Still shit. Still rubbish. Still weak at the back.
It come across as like he doesn't trust some of his players, because I always think now you should have a bit. Like Dan said before, the odd change here or there, but predominantly when Liverpool were good. Last season it was with the diamond, and this year it's been with the 3-5-2. So I think if that's your base setting, and then you kind of move players in and out of that depending. But the second that someone's got injured, so a centre half's got injured, Sakho's got injured, he doesn't trust Toure and Lovren. Understandable, I get it, because they both don't know if they're both that good. But then you change your whole team to accommodate a couple of injuries, where there's an argument I think to be said. It was like that's how we play. That's what we're going to do. The players understand it, and we've won 13 games, or we haven't lost in 16 or whatever with it. Why not just keep that and move, basically fiddle about with it a bit?
In fairness with the personnel, I think at the moment, you talk about the nailed-on starters, and I had this conversation the other day. First, I'd have Coutinho in there, and then the next 3 would be the 3 players we're without at the moment: Sakho, Sturridge, and Lucas. I think Sturridge's form's not been great, but obviously, we need to play him.
Forward, don't he?
Yeah, exactly. And Lucas and Sakho have just been consistent for me.
First, I think Sakho's been key to making the 3 at the back work as well. The 3 of the bland, you've got Skrtel, who's just an out-and-out stopper, clears blocks, basically that's it, and then you've got 2 ball players and who can also defend alongside him. It's been absolutely perfect. And when Sakho, unfortunately, again, he might be made of cheese as well. I don't know, maybe a slightly harder cheese. I don't know.
French cheese.
That's it. But I don't know. He does seem to get injured a lot, unfortunately. But I think he was really key to making the three at the back play effectively. I mean, we played it. Okay, we still looked okay when we played 3 at the back and Sakho hasn't been in it, but he sort of got better with him in it.
Yeah. When you talk about ball players and stoppers, what category is Lovren in? Or has he got his own?
He's shit him.
Can I say
that? He's a stopper, but he's not as good a skill like that. No.
His issue is, and I'm kind of moving on.
His issue is he's got no brain in his.
I was going to say he's very, very.
Oh my god! I was going to say exactly the same thing. I like pizza too. Go on,
I was going to say he wants to impact the game all the time.
Yeah.
That's his problem. Yes, I know. Like on a date. What's your favourite film? Really? Someone was about to say that.
We finish each other's sentences. There we go. There's a Frozen reference for you. I didn't expect to see that on the show, did you? Fuckers. Right, go on.
Lovren's issue is that he tries to affect the game too much. He wants to be involved all the time. And sometimes the art of defending is you can be involved in the game by just holding your shape or being where you don't have to go and win every ball or do everything. And his decision making is terrible. I mean, it's a microcosm example. Ball 40 yards out in the last minute of a semi-final, and you're trying to swat one in from 50, whatever that is. That's brainless football. It just is, and he's done it so often. The penalty that he should have given away against Newcastle is brainless football. It's just you can't fathom how a guy, and I don't care, the transfer fee is kind of irrelevant here. He's a professional footballer. You need to be able to do better than that. You need to be able to think better than that. Even if your ability doesn't allow you to do it, you should be at least making better decisions than I'm going to hoik this lad.
Yeah, and I think intelligence is a really underrated quality in the football as well. And I think you're right, because I think when you think back to the QPR game, right, this season, God knows we won that game somehow, didn't we? You know,
stressful one, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the back four was Enrique, no brain, Skirtle. No, Skirtle's will do what he's told. Oh, he's like a caveman. Oh, must headball. Oh, clear. Lovren, no brain, and Johnson, no brain, and they were our back four. And then you had Mignolet behind him, whose confidence was shot as well. At least Can is obviously and Sacco are obviously intelligent players.
Sacco that's underrated. Sacco's a very intelligent footballer.
Yeah.
The way when he first come in, I used to think he was a little bit in that he was very impulsive. His first move was always, I'll go to the ball, and I don't know whether it's coaching, it's development or what it is.
Trying to impress,
maybe. But now he's great. He knows that if someone's running at him, he can hold the shape because he thinks I'm bigger than you, I'm dead hard, and I'm going to take that ball off it, and that's what he does.
It's telling of where we are as a football club, though, that there'll be people watching this singing the praises of Sacco, sat back rolling their eyes and pressing the caps lock key as we speak, like, because nobody. But I really like Sacco, but nobody's convincing in that. No, we don't have one utterly convincing defender at the club.
He's the best.
He's the best. He is the best, and Skirtle, I think, has had a really good season. But you look at our defence, you wouldn't be. None of our defenders would walk in to one of the top, absolute top clubs in world football.
It depends if we're talking about the defensive attributes, and you can't get much more basic than stopping the team from scoring and just clearing stuff and blocking stuff. And Skirtle is really, really good at that. I don't think we should underestimate how he's really weak at loads of other things. But you know, if it's pure defensive actions, he's really good.
He is, Dan, but like. Let's look at the greatest centre-back partnerships Liverpool have had in the last 15 years. Is he a Stefan Oncho? No. Is he a Sammy Hippian? No. He falls between the two stools. I think of being either the defensive leader or the guy who throws his nuts on the line. He's quite better at the Oncho job.
I think he is quite similar to style of player to Oncho as well.
He's very similar to
Oncho. The way you've described, Skirtle's style there, that to me kind of makes me think of the argument we had about the keepers earlier in the season and even last year, where people looked at Pepe Reina as a sort of progressive, top-level team goalkeeper, and Mignolet as a stopper for a team in the positions we're in now. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's what Skirtle's limitations are. If he were to go to a top club, he wouldn't actually be needed because they'd want somebody.
I think if he goes to a team who's based on defence and they sit a couple of defensive midfielders from Skirtle look boss.
If Skirtle played for them like a West Brom, for example, or a Palace, people would rave about him thinking a big club should sign him.
Like Hangeland.
Because he'd look amazing all season, because he'd had everything and he'd win everything. Yeah. But sometimes what he wouldn't do in a team that, like I say, maybe wants to play more with the ball or has got a bit of a higher line, that's when you can probably get at him. Yeah. Having said that, it's hard.
He's got less protection, like Lovren as well, no protection, more exposed. People running at him left, right and centre.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to throw back over to Chris Pajak momentarily as well, because Chris, I feel like we're leaving you out, but you should come and sit over here with us for a bit.
He's busy doing DIY.
What have we got?
Nothing.
Not even prepared.
No.
What are you even doing?
Fixing the wall, it's not fixed. I've got some interesting stats though from somebody. Charles Sweeney at Charles Sweeney number 2.
Show this in the stream.
Open play goals and assists, no penalties or set piece assists. Over the last 5 years, Henderson ranks second in open play goals and assists to only Yaya Toure, 43. Miles behind Yaya Toure, admittedly, on 64. Lampard, 43. Ramsey, 38. Morrison, 32. And Gerrard, 27, which is quite interesting because there's been loads of talk.
Today for them?
There's been loads of talk on the YouTube comments about Henderson not being worth 100 grand a week. Now, I personally, I think me and you had this conversation the other day, didn't we? I think Henderson's not worth 100 grand a week now, but over the course of a 5-year contract, I think he'll be worth well more than 100 grand a week, so it's good business.
Yeah, in fact, let's move on to that. Obviously, Henderson's, of course, as Chris mentioned there, looks like signed that fair extended deal this week, £100,000 a week. Everyone was going mental about him not signing. He signed. Everyone mental about him signing. Welcome to Liverpool on social media.
Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Well, where do you sit on that?
He's worth every penny of course he is.
Yeah.
He's the new Liverpool captain. You can't argue that Liverpool don't pay the players big wages and we lose all our players, and then we pay a player who's we've agreed is going to be in our first team for the next 5 years, and you pay him 100 grand. And now 100 grand now isn't 100 grand 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Henderson, he's got a little bit lucky and he's been a bit clever. He's managed to need a new contract at the time when billions and more money is coming to football. So paying someone 100 grand now is like paying them 70, 80 grand a couple of years, you know what I mean? Because there's just that much more money going around and it's got to go to someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course he's worth it. And listen, you don't want you. What's the option? Let him go somewhere else. and then you look like a selling club. And then what's the point of going through all the shit that we went through with Henderson when he was crap to make him into a good player to then give him to someone else? That's what Arsenal did for years.
Yeah.
You had them while they were developing, so a Fabregas or whatever, let them develop, go through the good and the rough, or whatever you want to say, rough and smooth. Get him to where he's a class player or a good player, and then let him go.
Yeah.
Why would Liverpool possibly want to say? And it's the same with Sterling. Why bother having a guy who goes to United away and misses 3 chances that he should score? So then to get him to a point where we think he's great. Oh yeah, go and you go.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense at all. And
is it? Do you think it's a perception thing, though, Dan? Because like £100,000, I think Steve's right in that. It's a lot of money.
It is,
but it's not. When you consider that he's the captain of Liverpool Football Club, comparatively speaking, it's probably not. You look at the captains of the teams that are probably in the top 7 or 8. They're probably all. Maybe Southampton are probably an exception to that, but the captains are probably all on quite a lot of money.
Yeah, I do 2 things. First of all, I split the captaincy off, because I do have a few concerns about Henderson being captain next year anyway. But on the money thing, Steve's absolutely right. But what footballers pay these days,
I get acknowledged by
it's got no bearing on the rest of the world. It's like pop stars or more like Hollywood A-list movie stars, you know, getting $25 million a film or $50 million. It's that much money, you know. We're talking about, well, he's not worth $100,000 a week or $80,000 a week and stuff. And then you got the other extreme, like the Daily Mail, will just translate everything into nurses and soldiers, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, like you said, I think you best summed it up there. You know, you need to pay players to keep them. He's probably going to be, if you look at the hierarchy of players in the squad, he's probably going to be the 4th, maybe 3rd or 4th highest paid player. Is that about right? Is that where, you know, is that where he's in? Is he our 3rd or 4th highest, most important player? Maybe. But
at the moment,
the best thing about him is he never gets injured and he'll play 55 games a season at a similar level.
Yeah.
And okay, his level is not elite, right? But his level is 7 out of 10 pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, as long as he doesn't start breaking down all the time, I think it's probably been a good investment.
When Gerrard leaves, will Henderson not be our highest paid player now, or what isn't? Sturridge and Henderson.
Well, Skirtle's on about 80 or 90,
yeah,
so you know.
Sterling's going to be on.
Because John
£250,000 a week because he scores a few goals now.
So it's not. I don't think it's a. I don't know. We're still a club who, when your highest paid players earning $100,000 a week, relatively speaking to who we're competing with, we're cheap.
Yeah.
We're still a cheap side because I bet, you know, what was it? Torres on $250,000 a week or something ridiculous like
that. Well, the Man
that.
United front three, Rooney,
Falcao
and Van Persie, it was on $750,000 a week between them, I think it was.
So that is it depends.
£750,000 a week.
You can't ask Liverpool to be, why aren't we being them? And then when you try and even try and pay your mid-range players or your upper mid-range players decent money, moan about it. I don't get that. The issue is people are saying, if Henderson's good enough to be Liverpool's captain, good enough to play for Liverpool, then he's have £100,000 a week. Yeah. If he's affecting games and he's going to help us win football matches and eventually in whatever long it comes, try and win a title. If you don't think he's anywhere near it, then I get that point. But don't say, I wouldn't pay him 100, but I'd pay him 80. Well, that's just... How do you quantify that?
Yeah.
How does someone say, well, he's worth 80 and he's worth 90 and he's worth... I can't figure that out in my head.
Yeah.
I don't know idea.
He has that, as you say, he's not got that elite thing about him, but he's got the reputation of being a hard worker who sort of facilitates other things. He's looked like he can really step on to another level with the way he breaks into the box, probably more so last season. He was looking very strong at that. But then the stats we've just seen kind of suggest that he's got much more than just that hard work and, you know, facilitating
this
other
year,
performances.
I think that's...
When he's played in his right position this season, I think he's been tremendous.
Yeah. That's what's impressed me most this season. I've done it numerous times on your show, and Dan's probably done the same. Henderson, when's he going to start affecting games? Well, this year and the end of last season, I think he has. He sets goals up, he scores goals. The issue is, he's not banging 15 goals a season or 20 goals.
The problem he's got, and Chris, I'll bring you back in on this, just to keep you ticking over, is that ultimately, you know, we've had some big games in this last month. If Liverpool captains, we've been raised on Liverpool captains doing big things in big games, and I think we need to see more of that from Henderson. I like Henderson, but I think in order to totally win people over, I think he's going to have to do more of that kind of stuff in the games that really stand out.
Yeah, of course you do, but there's been bigger problems than just Jordan Henderson in the games that we've had. You know, right wing back's been a constant thorn in our side, so people have been covering left, right and centre over there. Henderson himself over the last few games has played there when he shouldn't be getting played there. You know, every time Henderson plays with Steven Gerrard, he's not the same player. That's a problem. That's something that, you know, how many people have struggled with that over the years, over the last 15 years? How many people have been in Steven Gerrard's shadow and never recovered from it? You know, it's what happens when Gerrard's not here and what we see from him going forwards. But look, the other thing is Henderson's not got masses of personality, and that's what I think a lot of people beat him down over as well. Because yeah, I think so. Like, I mean, if he was a little bit more outspoken and stuff like that, I think people would probably like him a little bit more. But because he's quite sort of, he's just a nice guy, isn't he? And you know, Suarez was obviously completely over the top in what his mannerisms on the football field were, but Jordan Henderson just, he never really says anything interesting, he never really says anything uninteresting, he's just down the middle, and that's why I think
I suppose his off the field persona, whereas I disagree on the field, because you've seen him, he never shuts up, he's a proper captain on the pitch.
He did a good thing with Naismith, didn't he, in the Derby game as well, you know, so
getting into it.
And Costa in the Chelsea game. So he's got involved. He got, you know,
he's not much of the media stuff apart from giving terrific looks in Nivea adverts. I
think if he did more than Naismith and Costa stuff, consistently more like that, a bit more needle.
Because you're going to lose your wall again, mate.
The thing is, people say this, Steve Gerrard's boring. Steven Gerrard, when you watch him on football,
he's affected football matches and he's won big games.
That's it.
Give him his boring shit.
Exactly, that's it. That's it. Unfortunately now, like we always said about the guy who followed Alex Ferguson, you kind of always going to get the guy who follows Steven Gerrard as Liverpool captain. He's got massive shoes to fill.
You know what he should do is take the number 8 shirt in the summer and just be like that.
And have Hendo on his back.
Yeah.
Get rid of the Urson, just have Hendo on his back.
So one of the things I always try and do to rationalise it, right, is I was like, well, how does he compare? Where is he in the Liverpool pantheon, right? So he's not as good as Gerrard or Mascherano or Haman or Lonzo, but he's better than Jamie Redknapp probably, better than Danny Murphy, better than Paul Stewart.
Why even say that?
I don't know. But when you think about the sentiments we've had over the years, and where does Henderson rank compared to these players, and then you can put him in context and say, is he a key performer? The best thing is about him is he doesn't get injured.
We were talking about this when he got given the vice captaincy, about whether it's sad because, as I say, it's sort of, he's been beaten with a big Gerrard shaped stick, isn't he? Because, as like I say, Gerrard was just so magnificent for us for so long. But is Henderson the kind of captain that we actually need at times? You know what I mean? He doesn't necessarily need to be the spectacular, the guy who's single-handedly winning games. In the way we play football at our best, having someone, as you say, who's there every single week to impose and to do what he does for the team is it's not thrilling, is it? Like, you mean, but and maybe that could feed into a larger concern about where Liverpool are going. I could see that argument made, but maybe he is the type of captain that fits for what we're trying to do.
There's different types of captains. Your captain doesn't have to be your best player. Now, for the last 10 years or something, before a couple of years ago, Gerrard, our best player was our captain. He just was. That's how we went about it. Other teams might not do that. John Terry isn't Chelsea's best player.
Well, that's a fantastic point.
John Terry, he's not, is he? But he's a good captain. Yeah. He's a twat, but he's a good captain. You know what I mean? And Vincent Kompany is a Man City's best player.
Is Messi Barca captain now?
No, Xavi.
No, he's
Xavi now.
But, so why does he?
Because you're right.
I've
never heard that point raised before. But yeah, average football teams make the best player the captain, don't they? Look at Newcastle and Shearer is a great example of it. Why would that Alan Shearer I can't stand centre forwards as captains. It's another thing that makes me up there with squad numbers. Like, but you know, you're right. You give your best player the captaincy because frankly it makes it easier to keep them. It's a bargain.
Yeah, it is. But and there's not a lot of countries around the world don't give a toss about the captaincy. You know, it seems to be a very particular thing in this country, and especially a British thing. But Gerrard was like lead by example, like lead from the front, lead by example. You know, same way that sort of Glenn Hoddle was as well, like lead by example. Beckham. Yeah. Other players will lead by the force of their personality, their character. Yeah, and others will be like mental tough as well, and others will be more of a cajoling and more sort of, you know, encouraging, you know, and trying to foster. There's loads of different types of leadership, and none of them preclude you from being successful.
Yeah,
I wonder whether Gerrard actually was totally a lead by example captain, or was he actually a just do it myself captain?
Yeah.
You know,
I thought
which
Jamie Carragher was the captain.
Yeah.
Ten of those years.
Anyways,
You're right, yeah, Gerrard was kind of, I suppose similarly, yeah, like in that sort of Beckham mould, but yeah, I actually agree with that. Gerrard did his own thing, he was that much better than everyone else that you kind of had to do what he did or face a withering glance.
and there'd possibly be an argument to say that he actually, to some extent, that was to the detriment of some of the other players he played with, in the sense that, you know, we've often seen other players step up when he's been absent, and that's been the case.
Well, a
10,
classic
11
example
years.
in the 80s would have been Platini as well. Platini was exactly the same, really, really arrogant player. You know, withering glances to teammates if they didn't pass it to him and stuff like that. But he'd go in and he'd score 25 goals and win titles.
And it's no slight on Gerrard or Platini in that case, but they're just so good that the fact that the other players alongside them don't necessarily get that space to develop into just doesn't matter because they're so good. Maybe Henderson's actually that lead by example captain.
We'll have to see. Welcome to World Football Chat on the TV. Liverpool taking on West Brom in about 20 minutes time. We're going to be here all the way. No, we're going to be here all the way till kick off. Keep your thoughts coming in on anything we're discussing in the comments alongside the video or by tweeting at the Redmen TV. We're going to head over to Chris to talk through some of them comments right now.
Yeah, we've got Liam Patton's retweeted one for us. James Pearce at James Pearce Echo looks like he agrees with Steve and Dan. So James Pearce said looks like 3-4-2-1 for Liverpool today with Johnson left wing back and Ibe on the right, Coutinho and Sterling behind Balotelli. Interesting shout. I think that I'd be quite happy to see that actually. It's
I still think the Sterling and Coutinho behind Balotelli is my big concern on that one.
I think it obviously depends on how we transition between midfield and attack. I think that's been the main problem for us this season, is there's been too much space between the midfield and the attack, and the gap's just too big, and the attack has essentially been left isolated for long periods of matches. Now if we can get Coutinho and Sterling, dropping deep, picking the ball up and running with the ball 10-15 yards and then moving the whole team forward, then that could work. Balotelli, obviously you need to play him in, and there needs to be people buzzing around him to pick up the ball.
Yeah, interesting shout here on Twitter from LFC fanboy at Footy Banter 69.
That's the best Twitter handle or the worst. I'm not sure about that.
Balotelli will score a hat-trick, mark my words. Everyone get that tweet favorited to hold up and
someone's going to be wrong on the internet. Someone's going to be wrong on the internet. Do something about it.
We're parading you around the street to the internet if you're right tonight. If not, you'll be hung, drawn and quartered at dawn, my friend. Right, as I wanted to come on to it, a bit of the wider picture thing. We'll get back to talking about the match in a little bit. But why is Ballo?
With a Y.
That was Ryan Scott on YouTube. Thanks very much for your comment, Ryan. Basically, Twitter's been in complete meltdown all week, Steve.
How
have you handled it yourself?
I laugh at it.
Yeah.
And, or I poke the bear a bit. So they're the two ways I do it. I just go on, slag defensive midfielders off, and walk out, and it's like throwing a pipe bomb in a room. It's like walking in and going, he called you a Malik, bitch, he called you that, and just walking out. People love it. I just think it's funny. You know what? I'm going to start, it's going to be a bit hype.
Steve's the Yoko owner of Odo.
It's going to be a bit hype of, I don't know, what's the word, like, hypocritical, sorry, but, don't worry about it too much. That's what I'm trying to say, that's what I try to say about it. You can put your inquest into Villa all you want, and we'll sit and do it. But then to get really angry and like you want to punch someone in and sack him and he's shit, I don't see what it solves. Yeah. That's what I think about it. And by all means, we were terrible. And I didn't watch it live. I watched it back and I saw we were terrible. Don't get me wrong.
You had the misfortune of not watching it live.
Yeah, I was otherwise engaged. I booked a christening for the FA Cup semi-final, which was
fortuitous.
Genius or fortuitous. Yeah, probably save me a bit of money in the long run, but it's one of those things where people have to have an opinion, and sometimes you can just think, I don't know isn't a good enough answer. So if people say to me, what's happened to Liverpool this season, you can throw arguments in, but at the end of the day, we don't really know. It's not like, why are Liverpool crap in the transfer market? It's because Rodgers does this. Yeah. It's because we've got a committee. It's because we haven't got a director of football, and my opinion's right and my opinion is the only one.
It's interesting because I actually got this on the agenda, and there's so much matter-of-fact speaking with regards to transfer culpability, FFP, FSG's commitment, etc. And I think that's the problem with the arguments. My Twitter feed's been filled, and I love the fact that we've had so much opinion on it. I think it's great to be able to people are engaging over it. But I see so many people saying things like, it's absolutely this and it's absolutely that. You know, you can get round FFP. Well, no, it's like, no, you can't. But you can, of course, you can. But it's not as simple as just get round FFP, etc., etc.
Yeah, it's a rule. You just got to, it's got to be part of the plan that you're doing. But you can't just ignore it, can you? Because then you just be, anyway. But on the other stuff, I mean, I agree. I think it's been. I don't know. I mean, the whole week, the way it's gone on, and then it just culminated inside the manager's press conferences. Now, what he was doing. And people just throwing the toys out the pram at every little thing the manager was saying, and geez, it's got to that stage now, and it's dangerous now. I think this is a really dangerous time for a lot of people employed by the club, because a significant chunk of the fan base now has already made up their mind.
Yeah.
Right. And if there are some more bad results between now and the end of the season, it's going to get a lot worse. And I think it'll be more than just Rodgers who's in trouble if this season just completely self-implodes now. Yeah. And I think a lot of the players will be held to account as well, and the coaching staff and maybe directors as well. But there was a catastrophic performance last week and a catastrophic result, and it sort of was when you look at the start of the season, it was probably a fitting way for it to finish, to be honest, despite the relatively good stuff in between. But I don't know, I agree with you, because some people are so adamant it's this, some people are so adamant that, and quite often the this and the that are actually mutually exclusive. Yeah. So you've got one people who are absolutely pushing this is the solution, but doesn't select this is the solution of it. So even the fan base is split on what the solution actually is.
And the other way is people think, and I think we probably all do, is they think what they think isn't guaranteed to work. If you bring if you bring Klopp in, Liverpool will be the best team in the league, for example. Not hyperbole. Or you take Spurs, it might work, and bring in someone to oversee you and tell them there's your players, that will work. We don't know it'll work. Yeah. The issue is something has to change. We all agree with that. Last summer, we all agree that now that recruitment is Liverpool's biggest weakness. But forget who the manager is, because it's been this way for 20 years. Recruitment is Liverpool's biggest weakness. Yeah. We're crap at it. We're really crap at it.
The problem is that's generated such a scrutiny on things as well, because of the time that the club exists in now, that somebody comes in, the first one's not a direct hit, and straight away they're tarnished by that.
Lazar Markovic has been written off as a bust already. A 20-odd-year-old kid who's come in and he's a bust now, because he didn't affect the season. And then you get this thing where
I'd always remind people on that is that I've got an uncle who's a Man United fan, which is our family's cross the bear, but he hated Cristiano Ronaldo.
At 18,
yeah, exactly. And a lot of their fans thought he was a complete waste of space, no end product whatsoever, and he just thought he was a complete luxury player, and he was a load of shit. And he was 8, and this is like the first couple of seasons plus, because to be fair, Ronaldo didn't even kick on really until it was his last season where he totally broke out, wasn't it? He got gradually better for them, initially he was just a kid with stupid hair who used to throw a load of step overs in.
So I think when his goal scoring really took off his 22 to 23 age, because he joined them as an 18-year-old, didn't he? Yeah, he was really raw.
The issue with the Markovic one is you can afford to pay £20 million for a project if you're a good team and you're doing really, really well. Yeah. It's when you're shit. And then you think that £20 million could have got us a striker. Yeah. That isn't Markovic's fault. No. That's the collective decision making. Had Balotelli worked out, for example, had Balotelli scored 20 goals this season, Markovic then looked like a better sign.
The problem is I've been doing this so much this week. I can feel the counter arguments, because it's like the counter argument is always, well, why? Yeah. Brendan Rodgers hasn't gotten 20 goals out of Balotelli, and it's, you know what I mean, and this is where we start to get into exactly what I'm talking about, is that there's no right answers in so many of these things, but people are convinced of them, whether it's right or not. Because if you love Balotelli more than you like Rodgers, you'll side with Balotelli on and say that Rodgers' fault that Balotelli's not performed. Whereas if you're a big Rodgers fan and not a Balotelli fan, you'll think Balotelli's let Rodgers down by not giving him the performances that he required.
I understand the people, and I get it, who would sack Brendan Rodgers tomorrow. I understand why. I personally wouldn't, but I can see why people are annoyed at the fella, because he does do things sometimes where you think, why is that? So why is Glenn Johnson playing when we think we're going to leave next year? Because he's terrible. So what's the point? If you think Manquillo could be the future, you might as well. Is he going to be worse than Glenn Johnson? I get why people don't like him. The issue is when you are so matter of fact that out all the time. the next guy comes in, does he have to deliver in that, or is he out? And is the next guy, is he out? At what stage do you stop blaming the manager and start looking at the bigger picture as a whole? That's where you start. That's where you got to look at.
I do think that sometimes people watch football and the fans of football, and they get to a situation and they're not sure how to react in the situations. They look around football for the answer and how they've seen people react, and they think, oh, how I should react in this situation is to think the manager needs to be sacked because I've seen it happen at other football clubs, and forgetting that that's not what Liverpool are supposed to be about.
I thought you were going to go into then that there's all these people who just seem to hate football who watch it every week.
Well, there's that that's a separate show. Most of them sit behind me in the car, but go on.
The thing is, I'm sure there's people who support the club who've not been happy with the managerial situation since
it's understandable, isn't it?
25 years ago, and just constantly want change. And there have been changes, and you suspect that there'll be future changes, and there'll still be people who aren't happy. It just seems to be the way it is, and depending on the way things are going, certain voices get louder, certain voices get quieter. But I just hope we give ourselves something positive to look. I hope we can end the season with a positive note so that we can have.
There's a big. You can only sort on this one about Man 2010 with a huge chunk of the local support on Benitez. It was much worse back then with Rafa.
What's funny for me, Dan, is that there'll be a percentage of people. I'm not even worth me throwing a percentage out because it'd be completely made up. Right? But there's people out there who want to sack Rodgers and want Rafa back, and they're like, get rid of Rodgers. He's shit. He doesn't know what he's doing. Get Rafa back. They forget that when they are now the people, the situation's completely reversed. They were the ones who loved Rafa, and there were a load of people going, get fucking rid of Rafa because he's shit, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I think these people need to remember how frustrated they felt and how powerless they felt when it felt like those people's voices were being heard over their own. And Rafa got booted. I was one of them. I felt like it was like I'd had my manager stolen off me because the owners had listened to fucking idiots who were a lot louder and more vocal. And I think there's some of these people out there who want rid of Rodgers, and I don't think they realise the hypocrisy of the fact that they are now the people that have made their life a misery. They're doing it to a new generation of Liverpool fans now and stuff like that. It's a bit of a tangential point.
It's kind of like now with the Rodgers thing. If there was a guaranteed manager, you think, well, if Pep Guardiola said, I want to go and manage Liverpool, or something like, you know what I mean, like a top class manager goes, I want to go and manage Liverpool. Carlo Ancelotti leaves Madrid and goes, I want to manage Liverpool. Tomorrow I go sound. You do it. But the issue is, you can sack Rafa Benitez and you can end up with Roy Hodgson. Everyone go, get Klopp in. Klopp will manage Liverpool. How do we know that Klopp will manage Liverpool? Unless you can sit someone, and even you can sit someone down and say, I promise you, I'll do it, I'll come. Then you can kind of get it. But sometimes people just want change for change's sake. Yeah. And that's where you've got to be very careful.
That's the big question, isn't it? We were talking about this, weren't we, Chris, in the week, is that how much has Klopp's of it?
Klopp is a huge name, and I would be very, very tempted to make a move for Klopp. And this is the thing, we're all talking about it like you've got to sack Rodgers and then get Klopp in. That's not the way football works. It's not the way. The conversations, if they are happening, will have already been happening behind Rodgers' back, and that's something that as a Liverpool fan I don't want to see. It's not something that I want to see our club doing, but the fact of the matter is you've got to work like that in this day and age, in this type of football, to get ahead.
Did Pellegrini not become Man City's manager like 2 days later after Mancini was sacked or something? Or you just know that there's been conversation, and unfortunately that is out, and that's what I'm saying. If Carlo Ancelotti gets on the blow and says, Madrid are sacking me and I really fancy managing Liverpool, I'd completely get it.
We're not going to see John Henry walking down the street with Roberto Martinez style things again, are we, this time round? I think it'll be done. I think if the move's going to be made, it will have been, decision will either have been made or will be made very shortly, and we'll know one way or the other.
Definitely, and it's the same as upgrading players, like you say. Sell him. Sound. Who's coming in to replace him? Yeah. It's a similar. I don't think we can afford in our situation now to get rid of someone hoping that something better happens, because when you start hoping, you end up hoping that you're going to sign Alexis Sanchez, and you end up signing Ricky Lambert.
Well, I want to get back. It's obviously fascinating. We've done a far greater and more time-consuming, in-depth analysis on this on the Big Brendan Rodgers debate special, which is part of Freeview Week on the RedmenTV.com. If you want to discuss this in further detail, by all means, go and check out that show. Let's get back to the match, though.
First of all, Paul, Southampton Spurs drew 2-2.
Great.
So that's a cracking result for us, of course. The table now, as it stands, is we're 7th, level on points with Southampton and 1 behind Tottenham.
2 games down, doesn't it?
Yeah.
2 games in hand on them. That's good. Yeah, no, that is excellent. It's Dan. What do you want to see from Liverpool between now and the end of the season, other than the obvious straight wins?
I actually want to see some decent performances. To be honest, I actually just want to more like the Newcastle game.
Yeah.
I just want to see some good football, and I want to see. I thought the manager got shitloads wrong last week, right? But the players looked really fearful. They didn't look like they were ready to go out there and try and express themselves and win the game. We just, there was one point after about 20 minutes, so Coutinho just got past the ball and he was virtually on the touchline, and he just miscontrolled, went over his foot and balled out of play. And Coutinho, the best control in the team, one of the best techniques in the league, and you're thinking there's something seriously wrong here.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's mentality but where they were too tight, they couldn't get it. But I just want to see some good entertaining football. Let players go out there and express themselves and play good football.
We just want to, for me, Jack, I just want us to get to the end of the season and sacrifice, sort of claw back as much positivity as possible, because, I don't want to spend the summer going through the managerial debate. I want it to be one way or the other. If we either win as many games in the biggest style as possible between now and the end of the season and go, fuck it, we ran it very close, ultimately keep the manager, or it goes completely tits up and we get rid. It's just a clean break one way or the other, because I want to go into this summer excited one way or the other for next season.
It's a long summer with no major footballing distractions, so we need to end on a positive note or a decisive note, either way. We had this discussion the other week, I think it was after the Arsenal game, about whether or not, is it over now? The thing is, that's a result that's gone for us already today. Let's get 3 points today, and one of the viewers, Michael Bradley, said last night, let's win this game today, and let's put pressure on City at R5 today.
That's what at the end of the day, Paul, it's weird, isn't it? Because there's people I've seen say, if we come fourth, Rodgers should keep his job. And that to me kind of thinks, well, what's that?
Yeah.
Because if we miss out by a goal difference, does that mean you sack the fella? We need to know some way or the other what we're doing. I would like to see Liverpool now not play Steven Gerrard again until his last game.
Yeah.
Get rid of Glenn Johnson because we know that he's leaving.
Yeah.
And just focus on building something for next year, as well as try and win games at the same time. You can do that. You like last year when we started throwing Sterling in a couple of years ago, or you might throw Jordan Ivan or something. You can do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But try and win the games. Ultimately, we're kind of in a halfway house here because we still can't achieve something. And Rodgers might be thinking the same. Shit, if I don't finish fourth, I'm going to be sacked. So we're in a very, very weird place at the minute, aren't we? It's just kind of like win the games and I give it down. But does a 1-0 win away to West Brom do anything for it? It's obviously you win, so it's good. Yeah. But then you're thinking.
The thing for me is normally in this position historically, Dan, whenever our season's over with like more than a handful of games left to go, Liverpool normally just basically are half on the beach, aren't they? We normally have somebody
pretty
really
much any once the season's over, pretty much any professional football team I think does that. To be honest, I'm guilty of that. It's. I think though that, as I said earlier on, if this just peters out badly, I think a lot of the personnel, full stop, will be feeling the heat.
Yeah.
And if the players just put the flip flops on, I think those players will be looked on in a very poor light, should we say.
Great, okay, well, we're going to have to wrap up there. We're going to head over to the game. Let's quickly have some score predictions.
God, it could be anything.
Not quick enough, Dan.
1-1.
Jeff.
3-1.
Steve.
2-0.
5-0. Chris.
2-0.
Excellent, brilliant. Right, thanks very much for watching. Come and check us out at half-time live. We'll be on the redmentv.com. If you can't find the link, that's where we'll be. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you in 45 minutes. Ta-ra.